Hey, what's up, everyone? Matt Atkins here with Matt Atkins Guide Service and RV Bass Outdoors. Figured I'd give you a little recap of we just had the NewJen Pro Am up here on Lake Shasta. It was had to make the top 14 to fish the final day. I made the top 14 cut and ended up finishing in 10th place. And I figured I'd get on here and let you guys know what I did, where I did it, and things that worked and didn't work for me. Some mistakes I made and some things I would change if I got to do it all over again. Anyways, so let's start with the conditions for day one of practice. It was a 3-day practice. The conditions were sunny and calm. We were kind of post front. We were in between storms. Pretty unstable weather pattern. The watercolor visibility was about 6 foot. The AM water temp, main body was probably about 49, afternoon 50, 51, depending on where you were at. Air temp in the morning, it was cold. It was 30 degrees when I launched the boat. And I think it might have got up to about 55 that day. So we were definitely bundled up. I went up the McLeod first thing, day one, to go see if I could find some fish that are usually there under these conditions this time of year. There's usually some shad in there. I can usually, it's a good place to get a decent limit when you can find them. They move around a lot right now. I started about halfway up the McLeod and threw a lot of different baits. Mainly I threw a lot of float and fly, some hog hunter, ABT, spinner bait. It's actually the ABT Lures Vibe Spin. It's a new bait. They just dropped it at Tackle Warehouse. I've been testing it out for a while and I'm super impressed with it. We'll get more into that in a little bit. Anyways, I went up there and started about halfway up and found some fish that I was very comfortable with. I was excited that they were there and knew I had a good backup plan if my swim baits didn't work out. So I spent the whole day up there and pulled off the water at 4 o'clock and got home and re-rigged. For day two of practice, I decided I was going to launch up in Lakehead and fish the upper Sac all day. I went and started up in the river in the cold water, throwing on some muddy banks and looking for some better fish. I couldn't find anything up there. I couldn't get bit. Moved down kind of towards the train trestle areas. Found quite a few fish in there. Not really the quality I wanted. We were catching, 3 or 4 fish an hour. And there was some 2-pounders mixed in there, but it was pretty hit and miss. It wasn't something I could feel comfortable with doing it in the tournament. And, back to weather. When we launched up there, it was 29 degrees. I threw the fly when we first got there on a wall, and I threw it for a few minutes, and I put it on my deck, picked up something else. I don't know, probably picked up an A-rig or something, and threw that for a bit and picked up my fly rod and went to go cast it. And the line was frozen on my reel. I tried to cast it and it acted like I didn't even open my bail. It wouldn't go anywhere. So I had to dip it in the water, and of course it just refroze again once I sat it down. But yeah, it was that cold. The guides were all iced up, and that was a cold morning, I'll tell you what. So day 3 of practice, conditions lined up perfect. I knew it was going to be a swim bait day. I wanted to save that day for my swim baits and only throw swim baits because we had stormy weather. It was raining. Everything set up perfectly for them to want to eat it. And oh man, they were eating it. So I went up the pit and hucked around 2 baits. I threw the hog hunter all day without hooks, and I threw the ABT wagtail all day without hooks. As you can see in the camera, they definitely got munched on. This was a brand new bait when I started, so that was kind of a sacrifice to use it for practice, but I wanted to know they were going to eat it. So I used that one. It got tore up. The ABT as well. I don't know which one was working better. They were both getting munched on. I had no hooks. I couldn't tell what was eating it. But that kind of took me away from the fish that I had found. I made the decision because that third day of practice, weather was going to line up the same as day one of the tournament. So I decided I was going to try to go get a mega bag to get some comfort on day one, and then the next 2 days, we had sunshine, so I was going to go to those fish. Well, I threw those two baits all day and was getting blasted pretty good for the first 3 or 4 hours. You know, every point I went to, I'd get nipped on, it seemed like. And I'd hook one here or there. I think I hooked 3 or 4 on day one with the swim bait, but I think my biggest one was like 2 something, 2 1/4 or something like that. A lot of small fish. So that really killed me. Day one, I weighed 863 or something like that. And I was pretty hard on myself, you know, like, what did I just do? I just lost the tournament. There's no recuperating from this one. So day two, what did I do? I had ground to make up. So first thing in the morning, I picked up my swim baits, hoping for the best. Wasn't the ideal conditions, but I knew where fish were at that were biting at my bait that I hadn't put a hook in, and figured I'd go try for that. So I threw swim baits till about, I don't know, 11 o'clock, and we had 2 fish in the box. So at that time, I decided I better go fish the fish that I know are there and where I feel I can get 10 or 12 pounds a day. So put the swim baits away. We ran up the McLeod and got to our spot, and it was just cast after cast, fish after fish. It was one of those real memorable days. We caught 4.5, I think it was a 4.3, sorry, and a whole bunch over 2. Ended up with a bag of 1260 something, I think, something like that. The baits I was throwing when I went in there, ABT just dropped this new bait. We're always trying to figure out ways to work our spinner baits slower. On Shasta, we like to pretty much roll them slow enough to where the blades aren't even moving a lot of the time. And Alan from ABT contacted me and said, "Hey Matt, I got these new baits I'm making. I want you to try them out." So I've been tossing it around, and thank God for Alan sending this to me, because it really helped me a lot in the tournament. I get a closer view, but basically it's a chatterbait with a spinnerbait blade right there. And what this does right here is it gives it a really good action. This gets this Kitech kicking real good, and you can roll it so slow and the blades still work. It doesn't kill the blades, and I love that. You can fish this mid column, you can fish it on the bottom. The fish love it. It's something new. Anytime there's something that they haven't seen a lot of, it seems to work pretty good. And I have a lot of confidence in this bait, and this bait is going to do some big things this year. He just dropped it. You can get him at Tackle Warehouse. It's called the ABT Lures. It's the Vibe Spin. As well as his wagtail. I use a lot of the wagtails. I love them. They work great. There's a time and a place for them. It's either this or the Hog Hunter in my hand when I'm throwing boot tails, but both great baits. I also threw the float and fly. This thing was a key factor for me. I throw the float and fly on an iRod 7.1 medium. It's the Power Finesse. I love this rod. People think that you need to get the longest rod you can get and this and that. Well, I'll tell you right now, with this rod, I cast this bobber and this fly farther than I can see my bobber work. So why would I need a longer rod? This one's light, it's comfortable, I feel everything on it, and it keeps these fish buttoned up for me. It's actually It's my drop shot rod. And I throw Senkos on it too. I use this rod for everything. It's a good universal rod. Anyway, so I was throwing the Spro Fat Fly, chartreuse and white. There was a lot of bait in the area, and I really wanted something that kind of stood out. So I decided to go with the chartreuse, and it worked really well for me. I throw it on the 4-pound Power Pro. I was running it about 10 foot deep, and pretty much, you know, when the water was calm, I'd be popping it. When it wasn't calm, I'd pretty much let the waves do the work. It's amazing what kind of fish bite this little fly. I also threw the Matt Frazier posted a video on the Delta bugs, I believe it's called, flies. Let me look at the package real quick. I think I got it somewhere in here. Yep, Delta bass bugs. And Matt posted a video, and I really liked the way these looked, so I bought a couple, and these were also great. This is an 1/8 ounce fly. They worked really well for me. So I'd switch it back and forth, you know, but my main work was done on the vibe spin and the floating fly. So conditions. Day 1 of the tournament was cloudy, rainy, great conditions for a swim bait. Day 2 and day 3. Day 2 was sunny and calm. I think we had a high of like 68 degrees or something like that. It was nice and warm. Seen some fish up shallow, sunning themselves. And day 3 was hotter day, but it was windy, so it didn't feel as hot out there. But those were the conditions of the lake for the Derby. I want to really thank NewJen. They put on a heck of a tournament. They really are there for us, and gosh, they made us feel like a king. We pulled up to they had we had our own parking spots on Championship Sunday. They had chairs there with our names on them, and you know, a lot of cameras going and whatnot. It was really cool, really well put together. The payouts were great, and they took good care of us. So thanks again, NewJen from NewJen Bass. And what else do I got for you guys? Oh, as far as my swim baits go, I throw my Hog Hunters and my Depths 250s on the iRod Bailey swim, the Genesis. Such a great universal rod. It's actually perfect for both. I will not throw these baits on another rod. I've developed a feel for them. I know what I'm feeling on the bottom, rocks, stumps, this or that. These are great rods. If you're going to throw big 2 pieces or big swim baits, definitely go with the iRod Bailey swim. And if you're going to go with the 6-inch baits or the S-Waver 200s, they make a iRod Genesis. It's called the Junior Swim. Such an all-around rod. You can throw everything on it. Deep cranks. You can throw 6-inch HUDs, size 200 S-Wavers, the Gancraft 230s. I throw it all on it. Really great rod, great tip on it. Other than that, mistakes that I made. I don't really know that I would change something. Day 1, I would still have thrown swim baits all day. It was just perfect conditions, and I knew I was going to need that heavy bag to be in the running. Day 2 was not ideal conditions, and yet I still went and spent half the day throwing swim baits. That was a big mistake on my part, and I think it cost me a lot of money by making that decision to do that. But overall, I had a great tournament, and I can't wait for the next one on Clear Lake. I'm really excited to get back out there. And thank you, everybody, all the support for everybody, the calls, the texts, everything. You guys are what keep me going. My wife and my daughter, oh man, my wife makes some sacrifices. She's in the middle of nursing school right now, and here I am still fishing. So it's a big sacrifice for the family, but I just want to thank everybody. And RB Bass, man, you guys are awesome. The support that I get from you guys, it's amazing. And yeah, so that about wraps up my tournament. I hope you all are having a good day, and get out of the house and go catch them. Tight lines, everyone.